In the previous lecture, we learned the objectives that ISO 27001 Shared Services Blueprint sample seeks to achieve. In this lecture, I will explain how ISO 27001 controls are mapped to the sample blueprint. Having only one Azure subscription owner doesn't allow for administrative redundancy. Conversely, having too many Azure subscription owners can increase the potential for a breach via a compromised owner account. This blueprint helps you maintain an appropriate number of Azure subscription owners by assigning two Azure policy definitions that audit the number of owners for Azure subscriptions. Managing subscription owner permissions can help you implement appropriate separation of duties. The two policy definitions allow you to audit the minimum number of owners for a subscription and the maximum number of owners for a subscription. Azure's SQL Vulnerability Assessment Service can help you discover sensitive data stored in your databases and includes recommendations to classify that data. This blueprint assigns an Azure policy definition to audit that vulnerabilities identified during an SQL vulnerability scan are remediated. Azure implements role-based access control to manage who has access to Azure resources. This blueprint sample helps you control access to Azure resources by assigning 7 Azure policy definitions. These policies audit use of resource types and configurations that may allow more permissive access to resources. Understanding resources that are in violation of these policies can help you take corrective actions to ensure access to Azure resources is restricted to authorized users. You are able to restrict and control privileged access rights by assigning 4 Azure policy definitions to audit external accounts with owner and or write permissions and accounts with owner and or write permissions that do not have multi-factor authentication enabled. Azure implements role-based access control to manage who has access to Azure resources. This blueprint also assigns 3 Azure policy definitions to audit use of Azure Active Directory authentication for SQL servers and Service Fabric. Using Azure Active Directory authentication enables simplified permission management and centralized identity management of database users and other Microsoft services. This blueprint assigns an Azure policy definition to audit the use of custom role-based access control rules. Understanding where custom role-based access control rules are implemented can help you verify the need and proper implementation, as custom role-based access control rules are prone to errors. Also, the sample assigns 3 Azure policy definitions to audit accounts that do not have multi-factor authentication enabled. Also, this sample assigns 3 policy definitions to audit accounts that do not have multi-factor authentication enabled. Multi-factor authentication helps keep accounts secure even if one piece of authentication information is compromised. By monitoring accounts without multi-factor authentication enabled, you can identify accounts that may be more likely to be compromised. This blueprint sample also assigns 2 Azure policy definitions that audit Linux virtual machine password file permissions to alert if they are set incorrectly. This setup enables you to take corrective action to ensure authenticators aren't compromised. Using the Azure portal, you can review who has access to Azure resources and their permissions. This blueprint assigns 4 Azure policy definitions to audit accounts that should be prioritized for review including depreciated accounts and external accounts with elevated permissions. Using Azure Active Directory and role-based access control, you can update user roles to reflect organizational changes. When needed, accounts can be blocked from signing in, which immediately removes access rights to Azure resources. This blueprint assigns two Azure policy definitions to audit depreciated accounts that should be considered for removal. You can also enforce strong passwords by assigning 10 Azure policy definitions that audit Windows virtual machines that do not enforce minimum strength and other password requirements. Awareness of virtual machines in violation of the password strength policy helps you take corrective actions to ensure passwords for all virtual machine user accounts are compliant with policy. The blueprint helps you enforce your policy on the use of cryptographic controls by assigning 13 Azure policy definitions that enforce specific cryptographic controls and audit use of weak cryptographic settings. Understanding where your Azure resources may have non-optimal cryptographic configurations can help you take corrective actions to ensure resources are configured in accordance with your information security policy. Specifically, the policies assigned by this blueprint require the encryption of blob storage accounts and data lake storage accounts, the transparent data encryption on SQL databases, the auditing of missing encryption on storage accounts, SQL databases, virtual machine disks, and automation account variables, the auditing of insecure connections to storage accounts, function apps, web apps, API apps, and Redis cache, the auditing of weak virtual machine password encryption, and the auditing of unencrypted service fabric communication. This blueprint helps you ensure system events are logged by assigning 7 Azure policy definitions that audit log settings on Azure resources. Diagnostic logs provide insight into operations that were performed within Azure resources. Azure logs rely on synchronized internal clocks to create a time-correlated record of events across resources. These 7 policies, which as you would notice are similar to the event logging policies, ensure system events are logged properly. Adaptive Application Control is a solution from Azure Security Center that helps you control which applications can run on your virtual machines located in Azure. This blueprint assigns an Azure policy definition that monitors changes to the set of allowed applications. This capability helps you control installation of software and applications on Azure virtual machines. You manage information system vulnerabilities by assigning 5 Azure policy definitions that monitor missing system updates, operating system vulnerabilities, SQL vulnerabilities, and virtual machine vulnerabilities in Azure Security Center. Azure Security Center provides reporting capabilities that enable you to have real-time insight into the security state of deployed Azure resources. You manage and control networks by assigning an Azure policy definition that monitors network security groups with permissive rules. Rules that are too permissive may allow unintended network access and should be reviewed. This blueprint assigns 3 Azure policy definitions that monitor unprotected endpoints, applications, and storage accounts. Endpoints and applications that are not protected by a firewall and storage accounts with unrestricted access can allow unintended access to information contained within the information system. This blueprint helps you ensure information transfer with Azure Service is secure by assigning 2 Azure policy definitions to audit insecure connections to storage accounts and Redis cache. Now that we have reviewed the control mapping of the ISO 27001 Shared Services Blueprint, let's now take a look at how to deploy the blueprint sample.